What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Watchtower podcast, the non-Jehovah's Witness Watchtower podcast. Glad you guys could be here. This is episode 103. 103. Stench of Musk. I'm not sure. Can you guys guess what we're going to be talking about tonight? Oh man, yeah, we're gonna be talking about that because I'm sure some of you guys heard about the news about the new CEO and whatnot. Well, I've been doing some digging and looking around and stuff like that, and I found some interesting things. So we're gonna be talking about that, obviously. But glad you guys could be here, especially since tomorrow is Mother's Day. So first things first. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mamas and mothers and moms and madres and however you want to pronounce it. Happy Mother's Day to all of you guys. We absolutely love you, and I'm only talking about the born female mothers because those are the only mothers out there. It's pretty sad we gotta throw that in there, but I'm gonna throw it in there. So, but yeah, happy Mother's Day to all of you guys. We absolutely love you and the incredible work that you guys do. You are fantastic. You are fantastic. So, love you guys. Glad you guys are here. Glad you guys could be here. If you got a mom, make sure you call her tomorrow and you tell her how much you love and appreciate her. She needs to hear that. She needs to hear that. So. I'll be doing it. I'll be doing it for sure. But yeah, so episode 103, Stench of Musk. We got some stuff to talk about. One of the things I was suggested by a couple people, if I could do a simpler breakdown on the Unicoin thing. They were suggesting, if possible, if I could do like some graphs, charts, however you want to put it, to make it a little bit easier to understand how all that works. So I will be doing that. We'll be going over some of that stuff. We're going to be talking about some UBI things, how that's going to pertain to AI. And of course, we're going to be talking about Musk with his Twitter X app. We're going to be talking about the new CEO that is taking over with that. And I know I've gotten a few questions about my thoughts on Tucker Carlson because I haven't said anything about that when he was released, fired, however you want to put it, from Fox. When it comes to something like that, and I don't have a full idea about things, I don't tend to jump on and just start throwing things out. So I took some time and I looked into it, and I got some stuff. So we're going to talk about Tucker Carlson with all this as well. So. Yeah, there's definitely some stuff, and then something from the IMF as well, which is kind of important and all that. So we're going to be talking about that stuff. I had no idea. Okay, that's the wrong word. I wasn't planning on it, but as I was going through this stuff, I always go off of rabbit trails. Some people ask, I might as well just go ahead and say this. A lot of people, not a lot, but some people ask, hey, do you have sources that you can throw up when you're talking about this stuff? Well, the stuff that I'm showing on screen, that's the best I can give you because I call myself a rabbit hole researcher, and I don't just find an article and then just do stuff off of that article. I go through like 10, 20, 30 different sites, gather bits and pieces of information from each one, and then I check it with other stuff, and I'm going back and forth. So for one subject, I would give you guys like 20 different sources for one subject. So it's just not really possible for me to do that. I give you guys as much as I can on screen. So hopefully that's okay. So I just thought I'd go ahead and answer that because I've been asked several times about giving sources. The best I can do is just unless it's like a specific document or a bill or something like that, I will be happy to send you that link. But other than that, I can't really help you there. So hopefully that answers that. But as I was going about, I wasn't planning on it, but I did come across some stuff that I've kind of got a mini Mother's Day message in here. I wasn't planning on it, but we'll talk about it. We'll get there. But first things first, before we get going, we have some housekeeping to take care of.
Housekeeping?
No, thank you. Sleeping.
Housekeeping?
All right. So for housekeeping, we actually do have some interesting stuff going on. Usual spiel though. if you guys can, like, share, and subscribe. Get this out to as many people as you can. It is not about butts and seats. It is not about views, but it is about getting the warning out to people of what's coming, getting people to Jesus and Jesus to people. That's why we do this. That is the whole point of why we do it. Focus on Jesus Christ, his return, and getting people to him before he comes and snatches his church away. So that's why we do that. If you guys can, like, share, subscribe, get this out to those people. And if you want to, follow me, Rumble, Odyssey, Telegram, Rumble and Odyssey, my backup channels when YouTube inevitably boots me off. I know it's coming. But yeah, follow me there. And then Telegram, just announcements, news updates, funny things, hymns, anything in between. If I do get booted off YouTube, I will let you guys know on there. So follow me there as well. And then I've got a couple of other stuff coming up as well. Tuesday is going to be a busy day. So first thing on Tuesday, noon Central, I will be on with Vindog. Vindog is going to have me as a guest on his show. So make sure you join us for that. I will post the link in Telegram when the time comes for that. Also, Pablo at 2 Central has invited me on, Serpents and Doves has invited me on his show if he can get his platform, his streaming platform fixed. He's having some serious issues with that. So pray for him. He had to cancel both of his shows this past week because of technical issues. So pray for him and his tech stuff. So if everything goes smooth and that is all fixed, I will be with him 2 o'clock on Tuesday, 2 o'clock Central with him. So Vindog at noon, Pablo at that. And then Pablo and I are going to do a 2 for Tuesday, and so I'll be on his show, and then he'll be joining me as a guest on my show that Tuesday night. So, yeah, if you guys aren't sick of me now, you'll be sick of me on Tuesday because I'm going to be on 3 different things. So, yeah, Pablo will be joining me as a guest that Tuesday night as well. So it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a full day, and of course, all that is if the Lord does not come by then, which I hope he does. But if not, join me and Vindog and Pablo for that. So check it out. Vindog Radio and Serpents and Doves. So check it out. All right. That is what I got as far as housekeeping. That's what I got. So, and yeah, so it's Saturday. We don't do natural events on Saturday. That's on Tuesdays. So we got nothing as far as that goes. So before we get started, I want to see how you guys are doing. Let's check this out. Check you guys out, see what's going on. If I don't pick you, it's not because I don't like you. It's just there's so many of you guys, and I'm going to start right here. We're going to say hello to Val Halloran. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Glad you're here. Keto Mama. Mama is in the house. Keto Mama. I'm just going to guess you are a mom, so happy Mother's Day right there. Matt, what's going on, Matt? Matt is here as well. We got Ski. What's up, Holmes? Glad to see you. Coco. Hey, Coco. How you doing? Then we've got Ad Libby. I think that's how you pronounce it. Good to see you. We've got Judy Grimes. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Michael, how's it going? Just Vicky is here. Keto Mama as well. Not of this world. How you doing? Lori Saunders is here as well. Hey, check it out. Vindog's here. We got a star in the chat. What's going on, Vin? Glad to see you, man. Mojava is here as well. We've got In These Last Days. Yes, we are. Glad you're here. Glad to see you. Glad you could join us. What do we got? We got Hannah Laura. What's going on, Hannah Laura? Good to see you. We've got Betty Lou. How we doing, Betty Lou? Patter is here as well. Steel Magnolia. Good to see you guys. Glad all of you are here. Again, if I didn't pick you out, there's just too many. Can't get to every single one of you, but glad you all are here. So, all right. I think that's enough of that stuff. I think we're going to go ahead and get into this. So we're going to start with breaking down this Unicoin and the icebreaker and the Fed now and all that stuff, because I know there's some people who are confused about it, and there's still, I don't know why, but there's still this rumor circulating around that Fed now is a CBDC, and it's not. So we're going to go ahead and address that as well. So first things first, the world economy. It's important to understand the Antichrist beast system, when it comes in, it's going to be 3 pillars of it: the one world religion, the one world government, and the one world economy. Some people say one world currency. Depends on how you put it. I just put economy because the whole thing is going to be running the whole economy will be running one world style. So that's how I put it that way. We know it's coming, and right now the best thing that we've got is a CBDC, and it's pointing in the direction of that will be the one world economy when it comes. And so we're going to go ahead and talk about the CBDC and how it applies to the one world economy. And it's important to understand the types of CBDC coins because there's two of them. There's two different ones, and it's important. Whoop, 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 whoop. Sorry, I went a little curly there. It's important to understand the two CBDC coins because there's a lot of talk of wholesale CBDC right now, not a lot on retail. And so it's important to understand the difference. So wholesale CBDC is the reserve coin held by central banks. So what we have right now is we have reserve currency that sits in the central banks that backs the retail dollars, coins, however you put it. So the CBDC will work the same way. Central banks will hold wholesale coins and it will back the retail. So the reserve coin backs all retail coins. So they have to hold it to keep this coin circulating for us to use. So then we've got retail CBDC or retail coins, which is a coin held by financial institutions, which is your bank or your credit union out there. So that's the banks that we use, not the central bank, but the smaller ones, and us. So it's what we hold in our wallets and we transfer between the banks and us. And then the coin is also held in our bank accounts and used for spending. So that's like the cash that we have in our wallets or your debit, credit card, whatever that is held in your bank account. That is the retail CBDC. So that's the stuff that we get. So you've got wholesale that the central banks hold that back the retail, which is the stuff that our banks and us that we hold and use for spending. That is the two different types of coins for CBDC, and it's basically the same system that we have running now all over the world. That's how it works. So it's important to understand those because there's a lot of talk about CBDC, but right now, mainly what's being worked on is the wholesale stuff that the central banks will hold. Now, countries are developing retail coins right now. They are doing that. Some have already put them out. Nigeria's got them out. I think it's Sweden or Switzerland. One of them has got theirs out as well. China's got theirs out. There's pretty much all these countries are working on their over 110, 111. I believe that's what the World Bank announced. So everybody's working on retail stuff, but right now the big stuff is the wholesale coin. So it's important to understand that. Now, the one thing that was announced during the IMF spring meetings was the unicoin, which is the easier term for Universal Monetary Unit, the UMU, but we call it the unicoin. Or if you're in Boston or Jersey, you can say that's basically unicorn, unicorn. Anyways, not to confuse you. But yeah, the unicoin, Universal Monetary Unit, this is developed. A lot of people are connecting it to the IMF, which I understand it was announced at the IMF spring meeting, but it's actually the Digital Currency Monetary Authority that holds this coin. Now, this is a collection of central bankers and government officials and stuff that are a part of the DCMA, but it's actually their coin. And then what this is going to do is that unicoin is going to be put into the central banks. So this is that reserve coin that's going to go into the central banks, and that's going to hold, they're going to hold that, and that is going to be the wholesale reserve central bank digital currency. So that is your one world reserve wholesale CBDC. So that's how that is going to work. Now, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about from their website, the Unicoin network and this type of stuff. So let's take a look at their website just to get an easier breakdown on what they talk about this. So I always underline what I think is the important stuff here. So on the Unicoin network, it says the Unicoin network can support all asset and liability ledgers to enable full service digital banking and financial services with a monetization framework. So basically this is building the ledger and the network digital banking system. So this is basically they're building a digital version of what all these central banks already have for fiat currency. That's what this is creating. And then it says central banks can deploy a resilient CBDC monetary system adopting the Unicoin Network Crypto 2.0 protocol. So basically they're getting it set up, and then the central banks can sign up and apply to join that network, creating a global digital reserve system. So that's how that will work as far as the network. Now, as far as the universal monetary unit or Unicoin can be adopted as an official currency for settling trade payments and as a central bank cash reserve currency. So just like we were talking about with the wholesale central banks, to mitigate against seasonal and systemic local currency depreciation. Hang on to that. We're going to talk about that in a second. So local currency depreciation. Hang on to that. And then also down at the bottom says, where's that? Central banks can enter into a bilateral agreement with the Universal Monetary Unit, Unicoin, if they prefer to hold Unicoin on their CBDC ledger. So basically that's just saying you can take this coin and use it as your reserve if you sign up with the DCMA. But the systemic local currency depreciation, hang on to that. Because right now what we're witnessing is exactly that with the dollar. And this is something that we knew was coming. I've talked all about this before. We're not going to rehash all of that. But in 2009, 2008, 2007, that crash, that financial situation, that was the starting point for the controlled depreciation, the controlled demonetization of the dollar. And what that is going to do is that's going to raise up this currency. So when we're watching all these bank failures, when we're watching the value of the dollar drop, we see a lot of people pulling out of using the dollar for petro and trade and all this stuff. Argentina even has ran out of dollars. They're pretty much out over there. We're seeing that happen. And so it specifically says in their website that this Unicoin can replace that. And one of the things that we're seeing as far as the United States depreciation of the dollar is we're seeing a trend happen that happened again in 2008. Now, this is Jamie Dimon. This is a short little clip. He's getting interviewed. This is Jamie Dimon. He is the CEO and chairman of JP Morgan. And he's talking about banning short selling of bank stocks and going after and prosecuting those who are doing it. I'll bring it around in a second. Just take a look.
Do we need regulators to look at short sellers of banks?
Yes. Look, my folks would tell me that that's not the problem, the short selling ban. If you actually analyze stocks and short sales, doesn't seem that big a deal. I think they may partially be wrong. Because, as you know, some people are unscrupulous and they use other means to go short. I think that if you look at the detail, the SEC has the enforcement capability to look at what people are doing by name in options, derivatives, short sales, and they should go. If someone's doing anything wrong, people are in collusion, or people going short and then making a tweet, about a bank, they should go after them. And vigorously, and they should be punished to the full extent the law allows it. So I think it's possible it's taking place. We have no evidence of it, but my experience in life has been don't assume too much.
Do you think that they're looking into it?
I hope so. I don't know.
All right, what he said is big. All right, first of all, you've got the CEO of JP Morgan, which is one of the leading banks out there. And what he says holds water because it's something that may happen. And so if you guys don't know, shorting stocks or short selling or something like that, I am not going to get into a huge old thing about this, but just to put it as simple as possible, you're betting, in this case, you're betting against the banks. You're betting against bank stocks. You are betting that the bank will fail. And so that is what he's talking about. He wants to ban that, and then anybody who is caught doing it, he wants full prosecution. Now, this is the same thing that we saw happen in 2008 with that financial crisis. And that's the last time that the SEC actually banned short selling of financial stocks. And that was to protect the banks from collapsing even further because they needed to hold back on it in order to continue to do the plan that was originally put in place. So we're seeing Jamie Dimon call for the same thing that happened in 2008. Now, will it happen? I do not know. I don't think so. I mean, they could, but I don't think so because I think they actually want to crash the dollar this time. But they may put it in and then start doing something else. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I know the answer. I'm not going to sit here and predict something. I'm not going to do that. I stay away from trying to predict things. But it's just interesting that he's calling for the same thing that happened in 2008. And so this is the depreciation of the dollar. This is the devaluing, the demonetization, collapsing the dollar type of thing. That's what the Unicoin, the DCMA, was talking about. So it's important to understand. It's important to know that we're in that situation. So this Unicoin can be applied with what is coming. Now, the next step, which it hasn't been talked about too much, is the Icebreaker Hub. The Icebreaker Hub, which is a cross-border, which means country to country, retail CBDC payment system. So this is for if you want to buy something in another country. That's what this is for. And so this comes from the Bank for International Settlements, and it's the Icebreaker Hub. So the best thing to describe this is that little thing that I've got up there. So say you have somebody in the United States who wants to buy something from Israel utilizing retail CBDC. Well, how this Icebreaker Hub would work is that CBDC from America, if it cannot just go directly to Israel, the Icebreaker Hub will find another intermediary CBDC that it will trade with. So to make this simple, if the American coin cannot be traded directly to Israel, it will find some other coin that it will trade with, and then that country's coin will then trade with Israel. I don't really have any other simple way of putting it, so I hope that makes sense. I hope that understands. Now, what's interesting about this is as values of these currencies start fluctuating, because we're going to start seeing financial collapses happen because of the depreciation of the dollar, an intermediary country, their coin may not be able to trade with say the dollar that's not worth much. So how this would work is Unicoin would step in. So if every central bank out there has Unicoin on their ledger, it would then become the intermediary coin that would trade between them. So you would still have the American CBDC retail CBDC coin, and it would just transfer with Unicoin, which Unicoin would then transfer to Israel's CBDC coin. So the Unicoin itself wouldn't be a one world currency. What it would do is it would be the system, the coin that would be able to create a one world currency utilizing the Icebreaker Hub. So I hope that makes sense. I don't really have any other way of making it simpler. Hopefully that makes sense. So the Unicoin would step in and work as the intermediary trade coin, essentially creating a one world currency utilizing Unicoin and the Icebreaker Hub system. The Bank for International Settlements is working on like 20 different CBDC systems. A lot of them are ledger systems, and the back, the stuff that you don't see that goes on behind the scenes. But the Icebreaker Hub is something that would apply for retail CBDC, which is interesting. So all these countries would still have their own CBDCs, but with the Unicoin and Icebreaker, it would then create a one world economy, and that would match what we know is in Revelation as far as a one world economy. So that's important to understand. Now, before the US can bring in a retail CBDC, we can't, with our system now, we can't do it. One of the things that's needed is a digital ID. You have to have a digital ID that goes into a digital wallet in order to have a CBDC. So if you have a country out there that does not have a digital ID system, then you cannot have a CBDC. Just like here in the United States, we do not have a centralized digital ID system. We've got all these different things popping up everywhere, but we don't have one yet. So we cannot have a CBDC without that. And the other thing that we need to have is an instant payment transfer system. That is what FedNow is. Now, again, because I really want people to understand this, I see it in comments all the time. People are saying, U.S. has a CBDC coming in July. No, we do not. As of now, we do not. FedNow is not a CBDC. It is an instant payment transfer system. This is basically an operating system for a CBDC when it comes. Now, when it implements in July, it'll work for the system that we have now. It's going to replace things like ACH transfers and whatnot. Or, you know how like if you try to deposit a check on a holiday, you have to wait until after the holiday and stuff for it to clear. Well, this system is going to get rid of all that. It's going to cut through that, and it's going to be instant. So if you want to pay your mortgage bill, you press the button, and it's instant. They've got the money, and it's right out of your account instantly. You can do it on holidays, 24/7, 365. Doesn't matter what time of day it is. It's going to be instant. That's what this thing is. And it's for U.S. banks and financial institutions. There's multiple banks and systems that are signing up for this thing that it's going to be, again, instant payment transfer system. And again, this thing will connect to a future CBDC, and it can connect to the Icebreaker hub as well. So this thing will be needed to implement a CBDC. Again, FedNow is not, I will say it again, FedNow is not a CBDC. It's very important to understand that. Now, this last part is interesting because this is something that's going to be coming. I don't know. I don't think we will see it here in the United States before the rapture, but it's something that I definitely believe will come after the rapture. And this FedNow system can be used for UBI payments. UBI is Universal Basic Income. This is basically, the best way I can put it is when everybody was not working during the 2020 lockdowns and all that stuff, and they kept sending out stimulus payments or helicopter money. That was basically Universal Basic Income. They were testing it. It's creating a system where if you're unemployed or if you are employed, they're just giving you like an allowance. It's basically like the government is giving you an allowance, and they'll just instantly drop into your account either each week or each month, depending on how they want to do it in that type of way. Now, this creates a dependency system, and it's going to be a digital dependency system. And something that I have always talked about is if you can't physically hold it, you don't own it. And so we just saw a recent thing. This was on the 11th, so just a couple days ago. BlockFi customers can be repaid $300 million held in their accounts because BlockFi just went through some serious stuff because of the FTX and crypto collapses that's been happening. But that judge also ruled that $375 million from other users who tried to transfer their Bitcoin crypto out of the BlockFi network, they can't have it. The judge said that BlockFi owns that $375 million, even though it's actually the user's money. And so why I'm bringing this up is if it's not physical and you can't hold it, you don't own it. So when you're looking at CBDC, when you're looking at UBI payments, when you're looking at all this stuff that is digital, that is all dependent upon the government money, you don't own it. And that plays a part into what's coming, where you got your social credit score system, You've got purchase restrictions. They're going to tell you what you can and cannot buy. It's going to be attached to carbon credits, which is another system that people need to understand is also going to be coming. It's going to be connected to your digital ID and biometrics. We'll talk about some of that in a second. And it can all be packaged into a UBI system. I showed a little video from this animated movie this guy made. And it showed a guy with his tablet, and it popped up and said, here's your UBI payment. And then it went through and deducted all this stuff from carbon tax to your rent payments and all this stuff. And it just went through and deducted all from the UBI system. It's creating a dependency system. And so it's important to understand the UBI because of what's going on with AI. Now, this is all a part of their grand scheme. This is a part of the elite's grand scheme to make you dependent. Harari said useless eaters. That's what they're doing. This AI system, they're developing it to overtake us. And they're developing it to create, to overtake authors, music, movies, just anything in between, including fast food. Like right here, we're seeing this transition with AI automated touchscreen fast food systems, touchscreens, conveyor belts. There was almost entirely automated McDonald's that opened up in Texas. Then there was another one that's being opened up in Nevada as well, where you go through the drive-through and your food is thrown out to you via conveyor belt. This is going to create a dependency system where you're going to have people that are going to be losing their jobs to AI, just like we're seeing with Wendy's now, where Wendy's CEO is now teaming up with Google for drive-through AI deals. So at this point, there's not even going to be anybody who's going to be taking orders anymore. It's just you're going to be going through an AI chatbot with your for your fast food. So again, you're seeing more jobs being taken away from humans and given to AI, just like we've also seen with IBM, who's halting hiring for 7,800 jobs because most likely they're going to be replaced with AI. And so we're seeing also, just like I said, writers and movies and everything like that, we've got the writers' strike going on in Hollywood because these guys are afraid they're going to lose their jobs to AI. Because we can see with AI that they can write scripts, they can create CGI, you can have deep fake technology for all of this stuff. And so the writers are afraid they're going to lose their job to AI. And there's more out there. Those are just a few examples that I've given. But again, like I said before, they're trying to create a dependency system where they want AI to take over your job, and then you have to get put on a UBI digital CBDC system from the top guys. Now, this is a full way to control things. This is also something that will be needed when that mark of the beast happens in the tribulation after the rapture, and when people realize that, oh, in order to feed my family, in order to support myself, I need to basically choose to give my my allegiance to the beast, and he will take care of me. That's one of the biggest things that they're trying to do with this. So it's important to understand how they're piece by piece, step by step, putting together this one world economy, because all of this, it's not just a coin, it's not just an ID, it's all of this, a dependency system that is being introduced through the takeover of AI. We're seeing AI at an increasing rapid rate just going through, and it's just taking a hold of everything. It's taking a hold of everything, and people already are losing their jobs, but you're going to start seeing more and more people start to lose their jobs because of this. And we've seen test runs on UBI systems and stuff before. The latest one is actually in Cambridge, Massachusetts. US City is going to roll out what they're calling guaranteed basic income, but it's universal basic income, basically. And we're seeing more and more of this taking place. in various locations. They're test running. They're test running this stuff. They're getting it prepared. They're getting all their ducks in a row. Again, there's Crisco duck in the house. You got to get in the row, buddy. But yeah, so we're seeing more and more of this. And what's interesting is this is where it gets crazy, guys. I'm telling you, this is where it gets crazy. I had no idea about this, and this is why I love doing rabbit hole stuff. It's great. And a lot of people are thinking, dude, why are you getting excited about this? This is terrible. You're sick. Well, because when it's important to understand, this is not fear mongering. This is not, enjoying devastation and catastrophe and all this stuff. This is encouragement for those who have Jesus Christ. This is the important thing to understand. When we see these things take place, when we see what the world would deem as bad things, as devastating things, as Christians, we have Jesus. We understand that we have the promise of the blessed hope. When we see more of this stuff happen, we are to use it as encouragement, not only for us, not only to encourage our fellow believers, but it's also, we need to use it as bait. That's not really the right word, but bait to draw in non-Christians and say, look, this is what's coming. This is what the Bible has told us is coming. Get to Jesus because you won't have to go through this. It's important to understand that and to have that mindset. So don't get down by this stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's, just to put it bluntly, it sucks. Understanding that a lot of people are going to be in bad positions, are going to get hurt from this type of stuff, but we also need to stay focused, use it as encouragement for us, our fellow believers, and use it as, might as well just say, as bait to bring in other souls as well. So be encouraged by this stuff. Don't let this stuff get you down. I know there's the evil fatigue and stuff that's going on, which I understand, but stay focused. We knew this stuff was coming, and we got to make sure that we keep that mindset on this. Now, like I said, this is interesting because we're talking about a UBI system that's going to need to come in because of AI. Well, ChatGPT is one of the big ones, which comes from OpenAI, who is by none other than Sam Altman. And now Sam Altman, who is creating AI systems that are taking jobs away, is now introducing something that can be used for a UBI system. So, problem, reaction, solution, all by the same dude. I'm going to create a problem, and I'm going to react and create a solution for the same problem that I just created. Interesting, right? Altman's crypto project, WorldCoin, rose to prominence last year with a controversial Silicon Valley vision for a universal basic income. The same dude who created ChatGPT is now working on a UBI system. That's interesting, right? Let's keep it going. It says, for those in possession of a verified World ID, World app will serve as a kind of digital passport. Here we go. Granting retina-scanned humans access to apps and services gated to World ID holders. Retina scanned ID, passports, World ID. Interesting. As for where World ID could be useful one day, a big pocket is financial services. I wonder if this will be attached to central banks for a digital ID system. Will it be attached to the IMF, the World Bank, the Bank for International Settlements, to the Beast system economy? I don't know. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying this is definitely a possibility. And it's Sada, who's a part of this program, the WorldCoin system. Sada is also excited about applications around voting and social media account authentication. And then they specifically mention whether you're talking about voting on a poll or something really dumb on Twitter. Specifically mentions Twitter. Media account authentication. Retina scan, World ID. Interesting. So let's head over to the website for the WorldCoin. The global economy belongs to everyone. World economy is building the world's largest identity and financial network as a public utility, giving ownership to everyone. I don't think it's going to be everyone. Interesting, though. We aim to create universal access to the global economy, one world economy, regardless of country or background, accelerating the transition to an economic future that welcomes and benefits every person on the planet. Guys, shiver me timbers. I got goosebumps. This is interesting. Let's keep going. We believe in inherent worth and equality for every individual and the right to personal privacy. That's funny. And open and public collaboration. World ID, digital identity that proves you're a real and unique person while fully protecting your privacy. Again, we just talked about retina scanning, biometric, digital ID, digital coin. Interesting. World coin, the first token to be globally and freely distributed to people for both utility, future governance, just for being a unique individual. World app enables payment, purchases, and transfer globally using the world coin token, digital assets, and traditional currencies. Guys, this is interesting. So the reason why I'm bringing this up, because we've seen a whole bunch of different programs about different IDs and stuff. One of the big ones to watch for is the Dia app coming out of Ukraine, which got a big boost of funding as soon as the Russian invasion happened. Interesting how that works. Yeah, I'm not going to say it. You guys know. Tearing Down the Curtain episode, go watch it. But it's interesting because the man who is basically ushering in the main wave of AI, Sam Altman, who's creating the problem, he's also creating something which is very interesting as far as digital ID goes. Now, I know it's talking about a world coin and stuff like that, which could play a part. I'm not saying not, but it's that digital ID retina scanning, because it's possible that they take bits and pieces of all this stuff. I mean, we're talking about the Unicoin and Icebreaker joining forces with that. Who's to say that they don't bring in Sam Altman's retina scan world ID system as well? So it's important to understand that all this stuff isn't going to just come from one entity. It's going to be put together in a project by all these guys. And so that's interesting. Retina scanned world ID. It's curious. It's curious. And so for UBI, the IMF basically tells us what is absolutely needed for these tools of the future. And this comes from the IMF spring meetings, and just listen to what this dude has to say.
If you think what are the tools of the new world, everybody should have a digital ID, everybody should have a bank account, everybody should have a smartphone.
Okay.
Then anything can be done. Everything else is built on that.
Because we were talking about this before we came onto the panel, the three basic things: a smartphone, a bank account, and a digital ID.
Yes.
That's where every nation...
In India, it's been named by the Prime Minister the JAM Trinity. Jandan, which is the bank account, Aadhaar, the ID, and mobile.
That shouldn't cost that much.
Oh, nothing. Peanuts.
So he's talking about everybody needs a digital ID, everybody needs a bank account, and everybody needs a smartphone. Well, pretty much everybody has a smartphone. They're basically taking care of that. You know how the transfer of, we're upgrading all the networks and you can't use like flip phones and stuff anymore. Well, that was all a part of this plan to get everybody on a smartphone. Then everybody's pretty much got a bank account. They've got you locked in some way. You can't do anything without a bank account. Everything is going online, digital. You have to have one to be able to do that stuff. They're working on that. And then digital ID is the last step. And they're working on various ways of doing that. Again, we've talked about all the different authentications and verification stuff. The E-Verify thing in that border bill, I'm telling you guys, that is a bad deal. And it's being pushed by a lot of people on the right, a lot of Republicans, because it's protect the border. It's a bad deal. I've talked about that already. But they're talking about all this different stuff that World ID may come into place. So the next step, of course, you got to have the digital ID if you want to bring in the CBDC system. So that digital ID is going to be interesting. That is definitely something to pay attention to. But there's somebody else I want to bring into this conversation who has also talked about UBI and understands what AI is doing with it. I'm smelling something, and it's a stench of Musk.
There will be fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better. What to do about mass unemployment? This is going to be a massive social challenge. And I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. I don't think we're going to have a choice.
Universal basic income.
Universal basic income. I think it's going to be necessary.
So it means that unemployed people will be paid across the globe.
Yeah.
He knows it. He knows it. Because you got to remember, Elon Musk was teamed up with Sam Altman, and they both created OpenAI. That's something to keep in mind. Him and Sam Altman were once business partners, and something tells me they are still partners to this day. They're just working on different projects. Just something to keep in mind as we continue to talk about this stuff. But Elon Musk has said robots are going to be better. They're going to start taking away jobs. There's going to be mass unemployment. We're going to need a UBI system. So this is coming. All of this stuff is specific steps, and it's important to understand, and I've talked about it before, we're seeing a slow creep, a transition into a neo-feudalistic technocracy. And we're seeing these technocrats, they're the ones that are creating this future beast system. They're the ones that are developing all of these programs and these systems that are going to give power to the Antichrist when he comes out. And so it's important to understand that they are developing all of this for the Antichrist when he comes in. So let's talk about Musk and this Twitter thing, because this all plays a part too. So the big news coming out is the new CEO of Twitter, Linda Yaccarino. These names, man, I'm telling you. Linda Yaccarino. Let's see here. I've got a thing for it. Here she is. Meet Twitter's new CEO. And he says Linda will focus primarily on the business operations while he focuses on product design and technology. And right here, this is what I want to focus on. Looking forward to working with Linda to transform this platform, Twitter, into X, the everything app. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about Linda and her background. We are. But I don't want to focus on that, because I think the main focus that everybody is going to be talking about with her is, what about the free speech? It's going to get rid of the free speech, all this type of stuff. I don't want to focus on that. I don't think that's the important thing. I really don't. Free speech is obviously important. I'm with you there, but I don't think that is the important thing. I think that's what they want you to focus on. Something I always talk about is they like to divert people's attention to certain things. And so when the news came out that she was a part of, the WEF, everybody instantly went to, oh boy, she's going to attack the free speech platform, which again, I don't want to focus on that. Let's talk about stuff with the X. But just to give you an idea of who this lady is, she's from the WEF. If we take a look at her thing, she's was chairman of NBCU. That's important. We're going to talk about that. Global leader, which that's her WEF background, of course. And then there's a little hashtag that's interesting. Future of work. Future of work. Very interesting as far as that goes. And again, I showed you her WEF page. Let's just keep looking at her background, her biography, or qualifications, whatever you want to put it. Her resume. There we go. Resume. Let's resume. Executive chair, January 19th to present. She is not leaving the WEF to join Twitter. She will stay with the WEF as she is on Twitter. Yaccarino is the chairman of the WEF's Task Force on Future of Work. Again, very interesting. Now, right here, again, she's part of NBCU, or was, and sits on the WEF's Media, Entertainment, and Culture Industry Governors Steering Committee. The entertainment, media, culture, that's important. Pay attention to that. She's also highly engaged with the Value in Media initiative. So she's got a huge background on media. She's also huge on the advertising and partnerships. That's what she did with the NBC. We'll talk about that in a second. Ad Council. This is interesting. As 2021 and 2022 Ad Council chair, Yaccarino partnered with the business community, the White House, and government agencies to create Kuf vitamin campaign featuring Pope Francis. So we got a connection here with Pope Boy, Mr. Popey, Mr. Poopy, Pope. That's interesting. And yeah, this was a part of the campaign. This is one of the things that she was pushing as far as that goes. You can see it right there, pushing the vitamin stuff. So, so she's got a background a lot with the WEF. She's got a background with media, entertainment, advertising. She's got a connection with the Pope and all the elites and stuff. She's clearly in there. She's going to stay with the WEF as she's with Twitter and all that stuff. But she's also a major advocate for equality and pushing the feminism agenda. She was a part of the Seen and Heard in the Equality Lounge at the 2020 Davos. And she says 50% of workers today will need to be trained or develop new skills to do their jobs as early as next year. There's a portion of the working population that are the most vulnerable. One of those positions is women. So she's big on the feminism, equality type of stuff. Linda, this was her quote, Linda Yaccarino, chairman of advertising and client partnerships, NBC Universal, on why diversity, inclusion, and ethical tech needs to be taken into consideration together and how to accelerate the progress into the next decade. So this is where I kind of started going off on a rabbit trail on this type of stuff. So understanding that the whole basis of the feminist movement, I've talked about this in the past. I'm going to go ahead and get into this a little bit here right now. We have to understand the spiritual aspect of this feminist movement was actually feminism, and the people who started that movement hate women. Just going to be straight up front about it. They hate women. The whole point was to diminish women, to attack the patriarchy family or the patriarchal family, and to attack the nuclear family, which is God's design. So the feminism movement was actually to diminish the perfectly crafted and valuable position that God gave women and to force them into the workforce, which is the position God gave men. And you'll see things like this because of it. Why are so many women in middle age are on antidepressants? This is becoming a massive problem, and it's getting a lot worse. Middle-aged women and antidepressant use is skyrocketing. And this is led because of the feminist movement. It's talking about 1 in 5 women ages 40 to 59, and nearly 1 in 4 women ages 60 and over use antidepressants. This is a survey from 2015 to 2018. One of the main reasons for this, one of the main causes, is because of the feminist movement. Now, you might be asking, why? How did I get there? You hate women. Every time I talk about this, I always get at least 1 or 2 comments. Why do you hate women so much? It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that God gave us specific roles to play, and feminism, which is led by a satanic movement, came in to alter this. It came in to push women out of the specific role that God gave them, that they are designed to fill. And so this is kind of my little thing for Mother's Day. I'm going to bring it good. Don't worry, I'm going to bring it good. But by trading the role of wife, mother, and the homemaker position that plays to the strengths that God gave them, and going for a career status, we see things fall apart, including this nuclear family. You have to remember that when God designed us, he gave the role of hunter, gatherer, provider, protector to the men, and he gave them a helpmate of the woman, and it fits to their roles of being a wife, a mother, a homemaker, and so forth. This is how the Bible tells it. This is exactly how God designed it. He gave us specific roles, gave us a specific order. It's the same order pretty much as in the church. And what feminism did, the Satanism movement came in to say, you're devalued. The world is saying that you're not good enough to do what men do, and pushed you out of the position to do it, out of the position that God gave that role. And so again, it's interesting that I came down this rabbit hole. This was actually today when I was finishing up my notes that I went down this. And it's the day before Mother's Day, because Mother's Day is the day that we celebrate moms for the role that they play that God specifically gave them to. That's why you guys are so good at being in that position, because God designed you guys that way. He designed women to be mothers. And so it plays to the strengths, the nurturing and the caring of it. Just I don't know how to put it. So I just wanted to put that there. This is Satan's plan that started with the feminism movement. This is why we're seeing so many women on antidepressants, because they're depressed, because they're playing a role that God did not put them in. And now we're seeing other reasons why we have to do this now. The tanking of the economy, all the drugs and altered food and stuff, that's all playing a part as well. But this really did start with that. So it's important to understand. And so with that, I just want to say, mothers, you guys rock. For all of you who take on the roles that you guys do, thank you. Truly, thank you. This is for all the mothers out there. Thank you, guys. So there's definitely a movement behind all this, and a reason why we're at this point where women have become so depressed. It's because feminists hate you, but we love you. We love you guys. So, but getting back to what we were talking about before, she is a part of this feminism, the equality movement, all this type of stuff. And I'll just go ahead and touch base on it. I know this is going to be the main talking point for a lot of other guys. I'm going to let them handle it, but I'll just go ahead and just touch on it. It's definitely going to play a part as far as information censoring, banning, removing of those who don't follow the narrative, information lockdown. This is something that the WEF pushes, information warfare, all this stuff. If you guys want to read this article, this is from 2022. They're talking about with Telegram and all the different programs that are getting that basically go around all their censorship platforms and everything like that. This plays a role. It will play a role in the future. I'm not saying that it's not. Again, I just want to kind of focus on other stuff. So we understand that will play a role with this new lady coming in. So again, I'm seeing that being the main focal point, but with this, I want to take a look at the XApp. So let's look at this from that perspective. If you don't know what the XApp is, it is Elon's attempt to create the everything app. So it's the same thing that he put in his tweet. He has specifically mentioned China's WeChat app and how he wants to turn XApp into that. And if you don't believe me, straight from his own mouth.
We don't even have an app that's as good as WeChat in China. And like in China, you can like live on WeChat basically. Yeah. It's like, yeah, everyone's like, you live on WeChat, you do payments, you do everything. It's like, yeah, it's great. And we don't have anything like WeChat outside of China. So I was like, my idea would be like, how about if we just copy WeChat? Hey. Copy them.
Buys Twitter, copies WeChat.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
So he's talking about how people in China live off WeChat, and he's entirely correct. WeChat, basically, if you want to get anywhere on the internet and websites, any of your media platforms, payments, your wallet is all on there. If you want to get news, if you want to go shopping, it has your social credit system that's built through it. Passport system, it has your digital ID built into it, your medical information, everything like that. China has specifically designed it that way. And it's important to understand that a lot of the programs that China is introducing, they're test runs for the world. People want to say China is taking over the world. Well, something to keep in mind is the WEF has been funding all of these programs that are going on in China because it's a testing ground. So when they say China wants to take over the world and put communism everywhere, it's half right. It's the WEF through China that's introducing all these programs. So that's what WeChat is. It's that type of program. The X app wants to do that and more. It wants to be a super version of it. And I think this is going to be a major part of that beast system when it comes into play. Now, I'll let Elon Musk kind of talk a little bit more about what he wants this X app to be. I'll be honest, this listening to him it's a drag sometimes, but there's a lot of information in this. So this is about a 2.5 minute video. This is at the World Global Governance thing. I think that's what it's called, from this past year, where he's talking about what he wants to turn XApp into. Check this out.
How do you see Twitter? If we say 5 years down the road, what's your vision for this platform? What should it do?
Well, I think it'd be, I'd like to, have this sort of long-term vision for something called X.com from way back in the day, which is kind of like a sort of like an everything app, where it's just maximally useful. It does, payments, so it provides financial services, provides information flow, really anything digital, and also provides secure communications. So really I think be as useful as possible, as entertaining as possible, and also to be like a source of truth. Like if you want to find out what's going on and what's really going on, then you should be able to go on X, the X app, and find out. So it's a sort of source, a source of truth, and a maximally useful, I guess app is about the wrong word, but system. And Twitter is essentially an accelerant to that sort of maximally useful everything app. I think the trying to have as many organizations and people and institutions verified as being legitimately those people and organizations is important. And to have the organizational affiliation clearly identified, so that if you want to find out if somebody's actually, if an account is actually, say, from a member of parliament or a journalist, or if let's say if a Twitter handle is actually belongs to, say, Disney Corporation or something like that, you can go on Twitter, and it's sort of an identity layer of the internet, and you can confirm that is in fact the case. And I think once you've got these sort of interlocking sort of identities, it's actually very hard to be deceptive in that case, because and it's also, you have a reputation to protect at that point. So I think then people are far more likely to be measured in their response, and be more reasonable, since they have reputational value at that point.
Just spit it out, man. At 2.5 minutes, if he just didn't mumble like that, could be a lot shorter. But there's a lot of important things that he said in there, and there's a lot of things that he kind of referenced that he didn't quite say out loud that's also important. So he talked about, first of all, payment system. He wants to put payment commerce type of situation there. Well, we know this is something that they've been working on. This comes out from, I think this is 2022. Yes, 2022, June of 2022. That Twitter was working on a payments program similar to PayPal and has already been filing for the license. So if we take a little bit further, let's see, Twitter Inc. is working to introduce payments on the social media platform and has been applying for regulatory license. Yeah, they've been working on this since summer of last year. So they're working on a payment system through this. So they're working closer, getting closer to that WeChat system. It also says Musk has previously said that the Twitter acquisition would be a part of a master plan to create the Everything app again. That's the X app, service that would offer social networking, peer-to-peer payments, and e-commerce shopping. So now here's the question. The question comes in the form of, is Twitter or X, however you want to put it, is that going to connect up to the FedNow service? We have to wait on that. I mean, this has, again, been since last year, summer of last year, and they haven't gotten anything out yet. So my question is, are they waiting for FedNow to come out, and is this going to hook up with that? So that is something that we need to pay attention to. We need to watch for and see if that comes about. Now, one of the other interesting things about this is the e-commerce shopping. So again, this is adding further onto the X app. And don't worry, we're going to get to Linda in a second. She plays a part of this. But he's talking about shopping, e-commerce, buying things on there. So we have to see again if it's going to connect to FedNow, and then we have to see as far as this goes. This is a part about creating the everything app. We've talked about with like Amazon and whatnot. I mean, is Amazon going to partner with X? Is that going to be part of it? That's definitely something to pay attention to. But let's go to a conversation that Musk had. This is before she became CEO. This is a conversation that he was having with this Linda chick as far as this goes. Check this out.
So you've got a massive platform. You have a vision that is a spectrum of just daily open sourced conversation. And they can conduct their lives, their business, their commerce, whatever they can do on your platform. That's a pretty big vision. But in the middle should be advertising opportunity. That sounds like a great opportunity. I can talk about my brand. I can get my customers to communicate, and then they could also buy stuff. That sounds pretty good, right?
You'll be able to buy things just directly on Twitter. One click, boom, done.
So right there, we're seeing it. And she plays a part in this because that's her area. That is her area. She's good at advertising, partnerships, networking, getting that type of stuff set up. And so that's going to play a part. That's going to be a part that she plays in this, a role that she plays. So it's important to understand that that's something that Musk wants to do with the X app. He wants to get that going. And then she is going to play a role in that as well. So we're seeing a move with the payment stuff. We're seeing a move towards the commerce and everything like that. And then we're also, again, seeing the move with a digital ID through the verification system. You have to remember, Twitter Blue, you have to link your bank account. You have to upload a picture of your driver's license. So if you want to sign up for that, you have to verify your identity. That is creating a digital identity. It's also connecting your bank account. So again, we're seeing the return whereof the IMF it was talking about how you need a smartphone. Most people are running off smartphones. You need a bank account. You're attaching your bank account to your Twitter profile. And then you also need a digital ID. When you do your verification, you're basically creating a digital ID that way. So you're seeing all of the systems from the IMF that they're talking about now getting put into play with this X app. You see? Now, again, we have to wait and see what's going to happen. Are they going to connect up with FedNow? That's something to pay attention to. Also, something that's interesting with that global World Government Summit. That's what it is, World Government Summit. There was something else he mentioned, and he was talking about news and truth. Now, he talked specifically news and truth, but he was kind of beating around the bush on a specific thing that he was talking about. Musk has talked about long-form videos and ad revenue for content creators on Twitter. What that means, and he's talking about news and truth and what he's talking about with this long-form videos and stuff, he's talking about taking on YouTube. He's talking about creating a video platform service. So he's now adding this video platform, this service into it. So long-form videos and ad revenue. Well, guess who the chick is he just hired? Her specialty, advertising, partnerships. Again, you guys seeing the connection, the role that she's going to play with all this? She has experience in all of these things that he wants to bring forth with this X app. It's very interesting, the role that she's going to play, who's also connected, again, to the WEF, which makes sense why he would, again, hire this chick, an expert from not only NBC, but also Turner Broadcasting. So this is her experience with this. Check this out. She's got 11 years experience with NBC Universal. Chairman of Global Advertising and Partnerships, Chairman Advertising and Client Partnerships, and President Cable Entertainment and Digital Advertising Sales. Before that, she worked for 19 years, almost 20 years, at Turner Broadcasting as an Executive Vice President and COO of Advertising, Sales, Marketing, and Acquisitions. Yeah. So she'll have expertise in the commerce thing that he wants to bring in with advertising for video platform stuff like with YouTube and all that. And with that experience and what she's good at, it also makes sense. And here we go. This is my opportunity to talk about it. It also makes sense why Tucker Carlson is teaming up with Twitter. If you guys missed it, I'm sure you guys didn't, because Tucker's a huge talking point with this stuff. Tucker Carlson to launch version of former Fox News show on Twitter. If you guys want to check that video out, he was praising Twitter and how he wants to do his show on Twitter. Interesting. And what makes this possible, here we go, rabbit hole, hang with me. I got a lot of holes and a lot of loose ends we got to put together on this. So hang with me. What makes this possible is it's not a contract gig. Elon never offered him a contract. And so Carlson is not breaking his standing contract with Fox. That's right. He was let go of Fox, but he's still under contract with him, which means he can't take another contract. So there was that thing, what was it? I think it was One America News Network who offered him like $100 million contract. Well, he couldn't take that if he wanted it, because he's still under contract with Fox. That would be a breach of contract. But he can do something on Twitter if he's not under contract and he's just getting ad revenue through it or subscription stuff. Twitter just launched subscription. Talk about that in a second. So he won't be breaking his contract. Now, I don't believe, and I've said this before, I do not believe in coinkydinks. This is an interesting coinkydink with the timing of all this. You just got Tucker, who was released from Fox, who's going to be going on Twitter at the same time that Elon is hiring basically an ad expert from a TV corporation. Now that's convenient timing, and I don't believe in coincidence, but there's more to this. There's more to this. It's to be believed that the elite Rupert Murdoch was the one behind Carlson's firing or release of Fox. So that was the determination. That's what came out in the news. It was Murdoch. He wanted Tucker off. He wanted him off the air. He's saying too much truth. He's saying too much damaging stuff to our whatchamacallit, narrative and all that stuff. We got to get him off. Yada, yada, yada. Free speech is bad. Not good. But what if what if this was actually a deal made between two elites? Elon Musk seen sitting with Rupert Murdoch and Elizabeth Murdoch at this year's Super Bowl. This was in February. And as you can see, they're not forced to sit next to each other. There is plenty of empty seats behind them. You can see all those empty seats. So you've got Elon Musk here getting nice and cozy with Rupert Murdoch in February. The same Rupert Murdoch who kicked Tucker off of Fox, and it's the same Tucker that went from Fox to Twitter. At the same time, they brought in Linda, who that's her specialty. Another coincidence? You guys think so? Oh, I got more. Don't forget that the same day that Carlson was let go from Fox was the same day that CNN's Don Lemon also got let go from Fox. What's he up to? He was offered the same thing as Tucker Carlson. Elon also wants Lemon on Twitter to do a show, just like Carlson. Huh. Guys, that's a lot of coincidence. That's a lot of coincidence. at the same time. Now we have to wait and see what Lemon's going to do. That was just a couple days ago. We don't know if he's going to do it. We have to wait and see. But that's interesting. You got the top guy from the right news media, and you've got the top guy from the left news media. Both released on the same day. Both offered shows on Twitter as well. Interesting. So, you got those two guys, well-known names from right and left media, fired on the same day, and then both are connected to Twitter. And then you look at the fact that Musk and Murdoch being quite cozy. Murdoch was the one who released Tucker, so Tucker went over to Elon's Twitter. And then all of that in just a short time span, all at the same time, the new CEO is a television giant advertising specialist, is now the CEO of Twitter. Again, that is a lot of coincidence in a very short amount of time. My alarm is just going off. There's more to this. There is a lot more to this. It is one giant club. And all these guys are in it. They are all in it. They would not be allowed, and this has always been my stance with Tucker. It's always been my stance with Tucker. They would not be allowed to have these positions if they weren't allowed to. Tucker would not have been on the air as long as he was saying the things that he was saying if he was not allowed to do it. Plain and simple. You've got Fox News, who is completely compromised, and they've been compromised. They had him on the air saying the things that he did because he was allowed to. And then perfectly timed, exactly when they wanted to pull him off, they pulled him off, and now we're seeing something else being developed on that. That includes, again, Tucker as on Fox for the things that he was saying. This is important to understand, guys. It doesn't matter if what Tucker was saying was the truth or not. It doesn't matter if it was truth or not. He had a line he couldn't cross, so he could only take it so far. And then they had to hold him back right there, which he did. And he used his platform to not only stir the political pot, that's the political game that I keep talking about, guys. Divide and conquer, divide and conquer. The fact is Tucker, he stirred that political pot. The left hated him so much, and the right absolutely loves the guy. Again, it's that divide and conquer, stir the political pot, play the game. But also, he gained a mass following of people who will now join Twitter to watch his show. Now, this is where another aspect also comes in. Twitter, again, also has a subscription feature, which they just implemented like a couple weeks ago, a month ago. This is where it plays an interesting. Because in order to subscribe to get exclusive content and to support your favorite content creators, you are required to link your bank account and confirm your identity. What is the best way to all of a sudden get a whole bunch of conservatives and right-wingers all signed up with a digital identity verification system? You bring your boy Tucker on there and you offer him a subscription platform to support and or get exclusive content from him. There is always more to this stuff than what you think it is. There is always more. Always. That's why I held off on talking about Tucker, because I knew there was something more to it. I knew there was something more. Now, there could be more to it. I just haven't found it. Or I could just, maybe coincidence does exist. I don't think it does. But also with Twitter, we're almost done. But also with Twitter, don't forget that Musk is also using Twitter as a mass data collection center for his X.AI platform. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but I just want to go ahead and remind y'all that he bought Twitter as well as a mass data collection center because AI requires a lot of data, information, and words to work correctly. And what is the biggest data center in the world? Twitter. And he's also founding his AI company called X.AI. There's X again. That's right. Musk, who supposedly called for a halt in AI. Remember that little thing that they put out where it's, we need to put a pause on AI? Well, the same time that he supposedly signed that and put it out is the same time that he founded his new AI company. Guys, this is why I'm talking about is you can't always take this stuff at face value. You cannot take this at face value. And if you noticed, there's been no pause in AI. Absolutely none. It was a move. And you know how many people took that and ran with it? Saying, see, Musk is for us. He's against all this AI stuff. No, he's not. Because at the same time that he's throwing that out there, he's making his own company that's going to feed off of all the Twitter data. The biggest data center out there. And that's how it's going to work. All the world's a stage. And these guys are playing their parts. Elon Musk, Linda Yaccarino, Rupert Murdoch, Tucker Carlson, Don Lemon, all these guys. They're playing their parts. That's what I'm talking about, guys. There's always more to it. There's always more to it. Now, I understand. I mean, I just talked about the CAA and the CIA thing on Tuesday, and now I'm talking about this now. I understand tinfoil hat, conspiracy theorist, all that stuff. I get it. I get called that all the time, just for laughs. Let's do it. I get it. I understand. Conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat, all that stuff. But the fact is conspiracy theories are spoiler alerts, and we're batting 900 at this point. I mean, even some of the most original ones like trails in the sky, I got to be careful. Trails in the sky, well, that's proving to be true as well. And they're not hiding it anymore. Now it's just out in plain sight. They've told us what they're doing with that stuff. The fact is this is reality, and it's these conspiracy theories that are really what's pushing forward this Antichrist beast system. And there's a lot of lies, and there's a lot of deception, and there's a lot of deceiving that is going on right now that we have to understand just how significant it actually is. And I want to point this out, Matthew 24, 3-4. You have to remember, he was at the Mount of Olives, and the very first thing he talked about is deception. Now, as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be, and what will be the sign of the coming and the end of the age?" And Jesus answered and said to them, "Take heed that no one deceives you." Before he went any further, before he talked about anything else, the main thing that he pointed was to deception. Do not be deceived. And right now we're seeing a lot of actors out there playing roles that are deceiving millions and millions of people. Whether they're believers or not, we're seeing millions of people be deceived by these people because they are people that they think they can trust. I don't think that we truly understand how important that warning is. He started it all off. with deception. And I don't think we really understand just how deceiving the world is right now. We throw that line around a lot. We talk about that a lot. But there's a lot of stuff that I think many people are still deceived by. I still see people who are throwing around that this Russia invasion thing into Ukraine is some unexpected event, when there's so much evidence that continues to be ignored that proves the point that it actually is all a part of this plan that we're seeing now. And there's so much of it going on. Deception is not going to be always so obvious. It's going to be so mind-bendingly persuasive. We're not even going to want to believe that someone we trust can be involved. We get so attached to specific people and to specific names that it doesn't matter what information comes out about them. It doesn't matter what information or moves takes place around them. We're going to ignore it all because we think that we can trust that person. We think that we can trust that person. But the fact is we live in a world. This is the only thing that we can trust. This. I can, and I'll be the first one to admit it, I can sit here and go through rabbit hole trails and research all day long. And in the end, I could be completely wrong about all of it. I could. I'll be upfront with you guys. And if I am, I will tell you. This is the only thing that we can trust. This is the only thing that has never once been wrong. And it continues to prove itself time and time again that it's right. This thing, this living word, was written 2,000 years, over 2,000 years ago. And it is still getting things right. And has never once been wrong. Do you know why that is? Because this is the living word of God, and God is always right. And his prophecy, we have to remember, Jesus Christ is the spirit of prophecy. Prophecy lives in him. It runs through him, and it surrounds him. Jesus Christ is the spirit of prophecy, which is why it's never wrong. It's never wrong. And guess what? Today's an anniversary of one of those prophecies that came true. Today is tomorrow, May 14th. May 14th, 1948. Israel became a nation overnight, fulfilling Isaiah, I think it's 66. Again, not wrong. Completely right. So it's important to understand that we can go through all this stuff. I could talk about all these things. And again, I could be completely wrong. I could be absolutely deceived by the things that I've seen. Because that warning in Matthew 24 is so absolutely true. And I think it's just something that we can't, I don't think we take it seriously enough. Again, we throw it around all the time, but I just don't think we understand truly the deception that's going on out there. I really don't. So we must continue to place our faith only in that book, the living book. And so something I always talk about is we can't take the news stuff that's coming out like a triangle piece and try and shove it into a square hole. We can't do that. We can't take the news that's coming out and try and shove it in the prophecy. We can't do that. We have to look through prophecy, through the scripture, at the news, and then determine from there what's going to happen. And even then, we can't trust the news that we're looking through prophecy at. We can only look or trust the prophecy that we're looking through. That's something that really we have to grasp. That book has never once been wrong. and all the prophecy in there, all the things that we talk about, that is the spirit of prophecy, which is Jesus Christ. And there's also another prophetic event in there that he talks about that he will fulfill. And that is the promise and the prophecy of the blessed hope. That is going to be him coming and snatching away his church. Now, all the stuff that we talk about all the time, that's all this horrific stuff that is being built, being put in place, getting put together to give power to the Antichrist when he comes to rise. And that's going to happen in the tribulation after the rapture. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to be here for that. And I won't be here for that. Because again, I've got the blessed hope that Jesus Christ is going to come and take us out before all of that mess, all that junk starts to take place. And if you're somebody who's watching this that does not know Jesus, and you're watching all this stuff, and you're seeing the world absolutely fall apart, I'm here to warn you that it's going to get a lot worse, to the point where it's going to be literal hell on earth. There's going to be pain and suffering and death and sickness and control and so much pain that you can't even comprehend is going to be put down on this earth. The wrath of God will be unloaded on this earth. And if you want to avoid that, and then on top of it, suffering something even worse for eternity, burning in the lake of fire, being tormented to the point where our own words can't even describe the pain and anguish that's going to come with it. If you want to avoid all of that, Jesus Christ is the answer. He gives you that way out. It's a narrow way where only he can deliver you from it. And all you have to have is a childlike faith. Simple as ABC. A is you admit that you're a sinner. You understand that you fall short, that you have sinned, that you have done wrong. You know that. You believe that you've done wrong and you need a sinner. You repent of those sins. You come to the Lord with a heart of repentance, knowing I fall short and I need somebody to save me. That is Jesus Christ. And so you believe in him. That is B. You believe in him. You don't know. You don't read the stories and go, oh, I know those. No. Knowing and believing are two different things. You believe that he is the one and only Son of God, that he came down 100% man, 100% God, in the flesh, lived the perfect life, died on the cross, and rose again on the third day, defeating death. And if you believe in him, you believe that that is who he is, and he did that for you, for your sins, you will be saved. And then C, as you call upon the Lord, you say that prayer to Jesus Christ. You call upon him and you say, Lord Jesus Christ, I fall short. I have sinned. I repent of my sins. And I believe that you came and you died for me and you rose again. Save me, Lord Jesus. Save me. Now, that's not something that you can, again, just know and repeat some words. That is something between you and God, where only you and God know if you truly believe in his Son, Jesus Christ. That's something between you and him. And it's important to understand that. Knowing and believing are two different things. You can't just repeat some words and go on about your life. But if you repent and you believe and you call upon him, he will save you from what's coming. And I strongly urge that if you have not done that, if you do not believe, that you believe today, before it's too late. Before it's too late. All right, guys, that's it. That's all I got. Thank you for joining me tonight. Tomorrow's Mother's Day, so I want to make that the focal point here as we close this out, as we end this. Guys, love on your moms, love on your mamas. They give so much. And for all the moms in the chat, we love all you guys. We absolutely love you guys. You are amazing. You are amazing. And so we thank you. We thank you for just everything that you do, the sacrifices that you make, the work that you put in, and the fact that you raise up your children in Jesus. That's what makes you guys so good. So we thank all of you guys. I'm going to just one last time round of applause for our mamas. We love you guys. And so tomorrow, love on them, and the next day, and the next day until the Lord comes. Love on your moms. And then tomorrow, make sure you guys get to church, whether it's online or in person. Just get to church. That's what we got to do. So last bit before I let you guys out of here, because I hold you guys hostage. That's how this works. If you guys can, like, share, subscribe, get this out to as many people as you can. It's not about butts and seats. It's not about views, but it is about getting the warning out. And most importantly, getting people to Jesus and Jesus to people. Because right now, it doesn't matter if they're kicking and screaming. We need to drag them across that finish line because we are almost there. So if you guys can, like, share, subscribe. Also, if you want to follow me, Rumble, Odyssey, Telegram. Rumble and Odyssey are my backup channels. And then Telegram, I post a bunch of random stuff on there. Good times, laughs, hymns, news updates, all that stuff. I throw it on there. So follow me there. And then if the Lord places it upon your heart and you would like to support this ministry, I definitely appreciate it. That's why I was able to add a second show, is because of your guys' support. I definitely appreciate it. But we've got donation links down below: CashApp, Venmo, Give, Send, Go. Only if the Lord places it upon your heart to do so. And I thank you ahead of time for that. So, and I think that's it. Make sure you guys remember Vindog, and I'll be on with Vindog Tuesday. I'll be on with Pablo Tuesday, as long as his tech stuff is working. So pray for that. And then Pablo will be on with me Tuesday as well. And I think that's it. So, all right, I'll let you guys go. You guys have a great rest of your Saturday. Get to church tomorrow. And again, we love you, moms. And if the Lord does not come back by Tuesday, I will see you here, same time, same place. Peace out. Maranatha.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.